Hello everyone. Today in this tutorial and video I am going to discuss about Java garbage collection, a very popular topic when it comes to the interview for the senior Java developers. And basically interviewers check it to find out like how much you understand about the memory handling, memory management, application performance, and when you create objects, when you allocate them. So it basically it basically reflects the way you write the program. So now let's first find out why garbage collection. So as we can see in Java, garbage collection is handled by Java automatically, right? Like in C++, we have malloc function by which we can free up the memory, allocate the memory. But what JVM says that I will handle it for you. But when JVM is handling it, why we should care about it? So actually, JVM is using some algorithm. JVM has a pattern which it uses for handling garbage collection. So now if you understand that garbage collection pattern, we can just make our application in such a way, we can design it, code it so that it will be more performant, right? The performance will enhance and the things will speed up, application will respond faster, we will have less memory to consume. There are many advantages of it. So having said that, let's see the basic elements which are used in garbage collection by the JVM to find out the object needs to be garbage collection, the objects which don't need to be garbage collected. So these are GC routes. GC route basically the starting point from where JVM will start to look out the objects which are not used in anymore. So popular GC routes are basically the classes when it is loaded by when we run any application. So the objects and active threads, they have their own memory location. Some serialization, synchronization. So there are different variables, different methods in execution. They create local variables. So all of these things, the one which is in the execution scope till the point which starts the execution, the object which is started from that part. So any reference, these all things are the popular GC routes. This is the list, you can go through it, and and if you have any question, please comment. Then let's talk about how GC happens in Java. So basically, we can if you search on the net also, you will get there's a mark and sweep algorithm which works for garbage collection. So let's see how this algorithm behaves. So we just talked about GC routes. Whenever there is a memory issue, like JVM find out that it does not have enough memory and it has to run GC, then at that time JVM starts to scan from GC routes like this. So and it search for, so there are two phases in mark and sweep algorithm. First mark and sweep. So now what will happen in mark phase? Once first mark phase will execute. So once JVM start executing GC, it will come to the GC root and then search for all of the live objects which have connections from this GC. So basically you can say all of the objects which are still in reference and connected to the GC roots, and connected to the GC roots means they are still alive and getting used and in the scope of the execution. So all those roots are marked which are connected with this GC root as live, and the rest of them are dead roots. So in the next phase, the sweep phase, what happens? JVM will delete these dead nodes from the memory. Basically, you can say free up. So the memory will if there is a table of record where it will maintain, like our OS or our system has some mechanism for this. Basically depends on OS. So if it maintains like a table, this location is free, this location is available. So in that way, it will just free up that location. It is marked as available. So that's how mark and sweep work. So now there are still some variations, like some algorithm says that it will just free up the space, and then next time object can allocate on these locations. But there's again one more thing like mark, sweep and compact. So what this algorithm do, like it will compact all of the uh, live objects into a single place, so that there is more space. So, like right now what happened, there's a one location, there's two location. So let's say I got an object which needs these three locations in a in a sequence, in a contiguous manner. But since we have deleted it and we have this is configured in a sparse manner, so our object will not be deleted. GC needs to run again. So to avoid this compaction algorithm do what? It just a group, like collect all of these live objects and assign them here, here and here, and then remove this dead object and make it place it here and connect with them. So basically what happens, it just if you think of it as an array, then all of the elements which are full are located from 0 to say n minus 1, and then the place from the n minus 1 or from the nth position is empty, and then it can be filled according to the size. So if we think about it in a more random manner, so let's say you have multiple GC nodes. It's not necessary that you have only one GC node, because we earlier we discussed that there are multiple points, like multiple things which can be considered as GC roots. So a program will obviously have multiple GC roots. So let's say this GC root and this GC root, so it will just scan all of the connections with them and then free up the things which are not available, I mean which are not getting used, like this. Okay, so that's how this mark and sweep works in GC, JVM GC. We have seen mark and sweep algorithm with garbage collection, but actually what happens with mark and sweep algorithm, there's a problem. The problem is like once GC starts to execute, at that time all of the other process will stop. So other process stops, that means the program which is in execution will halt for the time GC is running. And many of times what happens, let's say GC executes and I deleted some references, but it might possible that for the timing it is not getting used, but later it will be in use. So the object which I am marking as a null, I mean which is not getting referenced now, and it's or let's say it's a value out of the scope, doesn't mean that it will not be used. So there's a pattern actually. When you execute a program, there's a pattern. So what that pattern is, like the objects which are common, so some of the objects will be used frequently, some of them will use like initially it will be used too many times, and then it will keep reducing those call, and their value change and their invocation will reduce by the time. So this is the manner, this is the pattern which is which always exists when we execute a program. So using this pattern, a strategy is designed. So this strategy is called as generational strategy. So generation means by age. So by age, like I initialized the object now, let's say now, and by the after two or three calls, it just is not it right now it is getting called 10 times. After 2 or 3 say milliseconds or second, it is getting called only 5 times. Then it is getting called later on, it is getting called only one time, and then later on it will not called because whole program is executed. Still now we don't need it, or the scope which we are executing, the method which we are executing is completed. So the generation, so what does it mean? It doesn't mean like my memory is full and the object which is getting called 5 times I will delete it. I will not do it, right? So we will make advantage of this pattern. So what we will do, so what actually generation strategy do, generational garbage collection do, it actually divides this heap area and non-heap area into the parts based on age. So there's a young generation, there's an old generation, there's a permanent generation. And even this young generation is divided in three parts: hidden space, from space and to space. So what happens initially when an object is created,
at the runtime, when program executes, this object will get space or memory in this hidden space area. And once hidden space area is full, minerGC executes. So what does minerGC do? It will just scan the hidden space and check, okay, so what are the actively get used object, what are the objects which are less frequently used. So the objects which are less frequently used are moved from hidden space to from space. So you can say them from two spaces, survivor 1, survivor 2. You can also say them like that. So this is space. Now the impeller, it doesn't stop over here. Impeller it checks for this also. Like in from space, if there are already some objects in the from space, initially it was empty, but if GC has executed multiple times, then it must have some objects already. So from those it filter out again. The most frequently used from space object remain in the same from space, else rest of them are moved to space. So that's how it works. So this is the minor GC. So now our GC is partitioned into two parts, minor GC and major GC. So whenever we got low on space, we will just do what? Hidden space, check the hidden space, move objects from hidden space to from space, move from space to space, and then place new objects in the hidden space. So this keeps on working. But now let's say this two space is full because we have moved object from hidden space to from space to two space. This two space is full. My from space is also now full and hidden space is also full. So what will I do? I will just delete from two space? No. Now major GC will execute. Might possible those objects in two space and from space will still get some call or invocation later on. So what it does, when major GC executes, is just move the objects from this two space to old generation, and then from space to space, and then hidden space to from space. In this manner, this execution happen. So this is the major GC. Now what, when major GC will execute, major GC will do what? It will just check, okay, now in old generation there are some objects which is not even getting used, it will just delete it from there. But what the problem is, major GC, when major GC happens, at that time the system will feel, or you say get a pause in its execution. When minor GC execute, it will not stop. So when major GC execute, it's like stop the world event. Stop the world event means anything which is happening, any program, any execution, any calculation will stop till major GC completes. So this is how generational GC work. We have space hidden space S0, S1, old generation. So the minor GC is this one, major GC is this one, and there's also a full GC which happens when, let's say, all of the space are allocated from here till here. At that time major GC will happen. Now what about this non-heap area permanent generation? So this permanent generation takes care of metadata. What do you mean by metadata? Means like let's say classes which are defined, the methods which are getting executed. So it handles those kind of information or details. Those are stored over here. So if permanent generation is full at that time, we got the error permanent generation space issue, let's say. So it just handle those area, and then this get cleaned also once it is full, and if there are some objects which some classes and definitions which can be removed. So that's how it works.
So by this example, we will be able to understand uh, how many objects will be eligible for garbage collection. So basically we can understand according to the program, and then its behavior, how we define the statement and assign the objects to find out the total number of objects which will be cleaned after garbage collection. So let's see, here in the main method I have created a class test. there's a class test which I have created. It's a simple class, and this test class object I have created new test, and then again a method, and then again assigning to new object, and then this doing again a reference assignment. And what I'm going to do when I'm passing a reference, it's just creating a new object and returning them. So how many objects will be eligible for garbage collection here? So if we see first, let's say T1 is assigned to a new instance. Okay, so now what I am doing, M1 T1. So when I pass T1 here, this temp has T1 reference, but I am assigning this T1 to a new reference and returning this new reference. So earlier T1 was pointing to this, but now T1 is started to point this object. And since this object is also returned from this method, T2 will also point to this object. So basically the object which we have created here is no longer in use, because T1 and T2 both are pointing to this object. Now let's see T3. T3 will point to this object since we have created its reference, and by this T2 is equals to T3. So what that means is now T2 instead of pointing of this will point this reference. So T2 and T3 both are pointing at this new test, while T1 is still pointing to this new test. So this new test is still has no reference. It's a dangling pointer. So this will be garbage collected. So in this whole execution, after execution of this whole program, if garbage collection happens, all this new test object will be garbage collected. Rest of them will not. Example, we will just go through the finalize method which is provided by Java, and this finalize method is called when garbage collection happens for an object. So we can just override this finalize method in every object which we are using, and actually this finalize method is used when you suppose you have some resources, some connections which are opened, and now your object is garbage collectible, I mean it's eligible for getting garbage collected, but you haven't closed them. So in finalize method you can do that and handle it. So if you see this example, so in this finalize call count, I have created a static object of it, naming it as t, and then a static int count. Initially it is 0. So in the main method I have created a new object of the same class and then initialize it to a instance. Now I am making this t1 as null. So when I will make this t1 as null, since it has no reference, this object will be garbage collected. I mean this object will be able to garbage collectible. So when I do system.gc, garbage collection will remove it. So now I am doing thread.sleep, and now I am making this t is equals to null, this static object, as garbage collectible. But the point here is I have not initialized it till now. So making it null should not make it garbage collectible. But let's see, let's go on the program, and then again calling system.gc, again thread.sleep, and then finally printing out how many times count method is called. So what I have implemented in finalize method, I'm just incrementing count is equals to count plus plus, and t is equals to this. So what this statement means, so whenever finalize method is called, let's say I make this t1 as null and call system.gc, and garbage collection happens. So at that time finalize method will be called for t1. So inside finalize method, this will refer to the t1 object, that is this one, and this t is the static object which we have created here. So what it will do in garbage collection, this object will be garbage collected, but its reference is assigned to this object. So now since earlier we have made this null, so this object has no reference, it is garbage collectible. But now I have assigned a reference here, so this object will not be garbage collected because of this statement. But finalize method is called once, so it will be count plus plus. Now since it is not null and I am making it as null, garbage and calling system.gc garbage collection will happen, right? So again finalize method will be called and count will be incremented and thing will happen like this. But here is the catch, that if you have called finalize method for a object and it is called again for that, garbage collection happens again for that object, then finalize method will not be called. So what that mean is, like, for this object, when I made this as t1 as null, finalize method is called already. Now when I'm making t is equals to null, so basically I am calling garbage collection for this object itself again. So this is next time when garbage collection is called again, finalize method will not be called because it has already been called for this statement. So let's run the program and see the output. See, it is called one times. Coming to the important point, which is the Java arguments provided for garbage collection handling, and there are multiple things, multiple memory and behavior which we can handle using this Java argument. I am referring to a blog which has a very nice explanation and a very detailed and clear and concise explanation of these arguments. Basically there are thousands of these such arguments, but here we are just discussing few of them, the important ones. So the first one is xmx and xmx xx meta max meta space size. So what these two do, this xmx1 is used to define the heap size. As we earlier see in the diagram, we have heap area and non-heap area. So that heap size, which will decide how many objects I can allocate during the execution of runtime, execution of one application, is defined using this xmx argument. While this xxx max meta space size will handle non-heap area. Non-heap area means the permgen area or metadata space area, where we will tell the application about the classes and libraries which it can handle, definitions and all. So these two memories are important actually for application performance also. So let's say at the runtime, if application requires to create number of objects, then a large number of objects, then we need to increase xmx, and by default will not work. And if there are multiple definitions, class definitions, so meta space should be more. Or if my application is creating a few objects, then I should probably reduce the space. Why do I reduce the space? Why should, like, increasing the space is a requirement, okay, understood, it's an obligation. But reducing, why it's an obligation? So nowadays we are moving to the cloud environment, we are deploying our application on the cloud, so as much as memory we use, we need to pay for it, right? So it is required to reduce the size also. So basically approximizing approximizing the size of your application at the runtime, and then assigning these variables will help us to reduce the bill when we are using cloud environment. Okay, so let's move to the next one. So next one is the GC algorithm. So GC algorithm is not an argument. Basically, we till now, from the beginning of Java, the to the version which are launched till now, there are multiple versions of GC also launched. So it's not like a single traditional GC which is getting used from Java 1 till Java 15. No, it's not like that. We have several GC which are also launched. So you can see serial GC, parallel GC, concurrent, G1 GC, CentOF GC, Jet GC, Epsilon GC. So these are all the GC which has different methodology, different way of execution and collecting garbage, and it is actually based on how the next Java version works, and then it enhances performance and just help to application to execute more faster way and in a better way. So
Now some of the versions of Java has defined like, okay, this GC is my default one, but you can change them anytime according to your application and requirement, right? Which GC you want to use with your Java version or with your application, you can customize that. So we have the arguments for that. Let's say for serial GC, if I want to use serial GC in my application, I can define this argument. If I want to use parallel GC, I can define this argument. Similar way, I have multiple variables which I can define here. One of them can be used to specify if I don't want to use the default GC, want to use some customized one. So next is enable GC logging, which is very important things. Sometimes it's like whenever application is performing very slow or it has multiple redundant behaviors, and you can say it's not working exactly as we have thought, there are some problems, some pause. So what is the problem generally? Let's say if it's like GC is taking too much time, why it is taking too much time, which object is delaying the GC. So to find these all things, we need GC logs. So there's a multiple versions of Java. So like from JDK 1 to 8, we use this argument for GC logging, while in JDK 9 and above version, it is simplified with a very small argument. Okay, so coming to the next one, this XX heap dump on out of memory error. So okay, multiple times the people who have used Java 7 have faced this issue, like while running your application on local, you got out of memory space error. Then you must have gone to the argument path, like configure in eclipse.ini, and then change the size of heap and permgen so that you will not get this error. So now how to find out what is the error, when the memory got failed, which object is taking more memory. I'm just saying general in object, it's like multiple things which are taking memory, which service, which request. So to find out these, we need these arguments, so that at the time of memory failure or before, some seconds before, we got all of the logs starting from that point till the failure, and we can analyze it more in detail. There's one more, XXS. XSS. So basically, we know that there's a stack. Every time when we execute threads in multi-threaded environment, each thread has its memory stack. So in the memory stack, it stores variable like primitive data variables, and then some local variables which are required by a thread. So to hold its own data, because every thread has its own local variable with their values. So now the problem is, let's say there's a default size defined for XSS, but my thread is storing more data than the default one. So what will happen? My thread will fail. I will get the error, JVM error. So to handle these things, I can define the XXS argument to resize my stack memory area for my application. Now there's one more thing, connection timeout and read timeout. So as you can see here, it is net client default. So what does it mean? Like it it deals with some client server kind of configuration. So what is it like? If our application is connecting to another application or consuming data from some server, then at that time there are multiple restrictions. Let's say I requested a server some data, and that server has delayed response. So it's not like I will keep waiting 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour for the response, right? I will just get breakout, I mean like timeout error. So what is the default time? There is some default time defined by Java itself, but if I want to change it according to my application, I can use these parameters, file read and HTTP timeout, these all. Coming to the next and the last one is the time zone. Why time zone is something in garbage collection? It's a question, right? So basically, okay, let's see. Right now I am designing application for a location, but my application is getting used worldwide globally, and now I have deployed this application in a server at different location. So time zone of that location is different and time zone of my location is different, but I need a global time, I mean a common timing clock between those two applications. So in that case, I need to set time zone in such a way that application running at location B and location A should follow the same time zone even though they are working on different time zone. Uh, the most a very good example is the trading application as explained here also. So in such scenario or in the distributed environment, distributed application working globally, this time zone will help. So these are the 7 arguments which are the most commonly used. I will provide you the link of these blocks also and the other reference which I have used here, so you can go through them if you want more detailed information.
Alright guys, so that's all about the basics of garbage collection, and I have tried to cover each and everything, every basic concept and the reasons and the popular questions, the concept on which interviewer will ask you the questions. And I know that this video crosses more than 30 minutes, and I am very thankful to you that you have seen it till the last. And I hope you understand and gain the knowledge and points about the Java garbage collection, and you will also try to implement these things while you program. There are still a lot more about garbage collection, like the best practices and many algorithms which are newly introduced, and the challenges with garbage collection. So I will talk about them in another video. For now, thank you. Bye bye. If you like this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Goodbye.